It's crazy how you can manage 15,000 apartments. You mostly don't advertise on Airbnb like me. Where do these guests come from?
So we have our own through which the guests can have an entire journey.
Man, you're almost just becoming a competitor to Airbnb. Today on the podcast, I got the general manager of Blueground, Nina. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, thank you for inviting.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
So Blueground, that's, I've been wanting to talk to somebody at Blueground for such a long time because I'm such a fan of huge operations like yours. Tell me, what is Blueground, if you just give us a little rundown of what you do.
No, of course. So Blueground is the largest global operator of furnished flexible apartments for the stays of 30 days plus.
Okay.
Right, so we have about 15,000 apartments in our management in 32 cities and 17 countries.
Wow.
Sounds massive.
Yeah.
But it's a story 10 years in the making. So our CEO, Alex, has funded Blueground in 2014 out of his parents' house in Athens.
Okay.
And the idea was he was trying to solve a problem that he's seen as a consultant moving around, where he would stay in the hotels for months at a time. And he didn't like it. He thought there should be a better way where I can rent an apartment, which is furnished, where I can stay for a few months only. But if you take yourself back to 2014,
this was 2014?
Yeah, so it's nowhere there where we are now, right? Where there are so many options, right?
Yeah.
The options were limited. You would go to a landlord if you're lucky to find an apartment, but no way you could negotiate a month's stay or, even 3-4 months stay, right? These are usually furnished apartments out for the entire year. Mm-hmm. So this is how the Blueground was born.
Nice.
As a company.
So 2014, was Airbnb even started then?
Probably yes.
Just starting. Yeah.
But I think then, the same as now in Airbnb, you are kind of at the mercy of a host, right? You can have a really great apartment and a really great host and the whole spectrum of everything else, right? So the idea behind Blueground is also that you can offer the consistency for a guest who especially is very international now and can be in London, Dubai, next day in New York, right? And he can count on Blueground to not only offer the same quality, but even the same style, right? So as if he was in your own home, right? Because we have also the same quality and style of the apartments all around the world.
So it's kind of similar to what I'm doing. I'm if you don't know it, so I'm renting apartments for long term, and then I put them on Airbnb and make a profit there in between. Yeah. But you do it a little bit differently because you focus on midterm rentals, right?
Yes, exactly. So the idea is to focus on 1 month plus. Okay. And I would say our average is about 3-4 months, depending on the market, right? So the idea is to from mid-stay to long-term, right? So now actually we launched a new program recently. It's called Live at Blueground, where the idea is also to offer for the guests the possibility to live long-term with us, right? So if you already have a rented apartment, maybe you're a young couple, you don't really want to buy all this furniture, you are not sure where you're gonna settle, so why not live with us on the long term?
Okay.
And you avoid all the hassle of dealing with the landlord, utilities set up, and all these things in between.
Exactly. Yeah, so much easier to just get an apartment for you. It's ready, furnished, instead of having to go through all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how many units are you managing in Dubai now?
So here in Dubai, we are almost at the cross of 1,000.
Nice.
I'm sure when we're going to reach, we're going to
have a celebration.
A big celebration.
When's that going to happen?
Oh, let's see.
Let's see. Okay.
But we're closer, and we are present in all of the key neighborhoods around Dubai.
Mm-hmm. So how do you actually get these apartments? You don't own these apartments. Who owns them, and how do you get them?
Yeah, so I would say that in Dubai in general, it's a very fragmented market in terms of ownership, right? So the majority of the apartments are owned by individual landlords. So we rent it from them, right? We have a variety of contracts that we can offer. We do rent-to-rent model, so what you said before, right? It's a fixed rent. We also do revenue share, and we also have property management agreements with our landlords.
Okay, so I'm familiar with the first two, but what's the property management agreement like? What is that?
Yeah, so the property management is an agreement in which we as a company have a special license where we can not only manage the apartment in terms of letting it out, but we also can handle the rental payments and deposits for the landlord, right?
Okay.
So majority of the other companies cannot do it, right? So for example, if you're offering a 1-year-long lease, right? So the check should be in the name of the landlord. With our license, we can also have a direct check to us. Then we're gonna pay out to the landlord.
Okay, gotcha. And then how do you find tenants to come into these apartments? So you mostly don't advertise on Airbnb like me. I'm only on Airbnb and Book.com. Since you focus on midterm, you're getting longer guests. Where do these guests come from?
So the idea for us to the guests is to offer as much comfort as possible, not only in the apartment, but through entire journey. So we have our own portal, right? Our own website and our app through which the guests can have an entire journey, right? So they can, as in Airbnb, they can choose the apartment, do a few clicks, and then our entire lease execution is online, which is normal for Airbnb, but quite uncommon for the longer contracts, which is a great innovation in the market if we, look back at our history. But then the entire journey of the guest is also on the app, right? Because they can do the check-in there, have all of their documents. They can even connect to Wi-Fi through our app. They can request additional services like cleaning or maintenance, chat with our customer service, all within our app. So this is, I would say, our main advertising channel, but also, of course, it comes with some networking effects, right? Considering that we have been on the market for 10 years, we are trusted companies, right? So we are also capitalizing a little bit on our existing guests who maybe have heard about Blueground in US or in Europe and are coming now to Dubai. Plus, we work a lot with the businesses, with the Fortune 500 companies, where we have specific agreements with them for their employees, either through the company or individually.
Yeah. So, obviously, there's a lot of companies, big companies that have, headquarters all over the world, and they need to move their employees around.
Exactly.
So they contact you like, hey, what do you got for my employees? And you provide them the apartments.
Exactly.
Is that and where else are you advertising on some platforms?
Yeah, we do. We also advertise on Airbnb. We also advertise on the typical Dubai portals like Dubizzle or Property Finder. But the majority of our business comes directly through our own channel.
But why focus on midterm rentals over short-term rentals? Because for me, especially coming from Iceland, where tourists, it's just so many tourists. You make so much more on short-term rentals than midterm rentals. I guess it's a little different here in Dubai, but why is it that you focus on midterm?
I would say this is where the idea for the company came from, right? So the idea was not to entertain the tourism demand, but the idea was to offer to people who are maybe professional, are coming somewhere for a project or like assignment, and they're looking for somewhere comfortable to live other than the traditional apartment or hotel apartment or a hotel, right? So this was the idea. And we believe there is a big market there. There is a big shift on a global scale of how people would like to live, right? So more and more people do not want to actually go into the unfurnished, buy the furniture. When they move out, they don't know what to do with that. There is also a whole part there about sustainability, right? So you don't throw out this furniture, right? After 2 years, if it's IKEA and you don't want to move it to another city or another country, right? So I think this is the original idea, and we are still sticking to it. Of course, we can do Airbnb and we do capitalize on this additional demand, but this is not the core of what we are trying to do.
Probably also a lot easier operation if you have guests for at least a month, rather than me, I have maybe 8 guests every month,
Yes, it's a different structure. Of course, you are set up very differently for one or another. I think there are 2 business models that exist, but we are kind of targeting different group of people. Although I also feel that after the COVID and 2020, more holiday home operators are also kind of trying to move to this 1 month, few months stays, right? Because I think also COVID has changed a little bit how the world is overall.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And okay, so what fascinates me so much about Blueground is, there's this CEO called Alex, and he started this company from Greece, and now they're is operations in Hong Kong, New York, Paris, Dubai, and like, I don't know, 10 other cities. So if we start with your operations, you're operating 1,000 apartments. How do you manage to keep track of all of that and make sure everything is running smoothly?
Yeah. So I think here the technology comes again. We have a lot of our proprietary technologies that we have developed for our operations. So the entire management, I think that many companies do rely on the third parties, but we have our own system, our own, we call it Bluebee.
Bluebee?
Yes, it's our systems that allow us to manage everything, right? So keep track of the apartments, keep track of the bookings, keep track of the tasks and where our teams go and operate, the entire planning, right? So there is a lot to be said there about the operations. And this is the part that I think that is going to make or break the real estate business like ours or any other holiday homes.
Yeah. So if we go into just a little bit of detail there. So I have a software where I that syncs book.com and Airbnb together so I can manage everything from that software. But for you, when you have apartments on, say, Airbnb and you're doing midterm rentals, does the software sync that together? Or?
Yes, of course. We have a 24/7 updated calendar. Otherwise, you cannot do this, right? Because we also have instant bookings, right? People are able to book even through Airbnb several months still without actually notifying us, right? If it's available. For sure, this is essential.
And for pricing, do you use Price Labs, for example, like I use, or is it manually or?
No, we do have our internal pricing model as well. So we have several BI analysts who are working on that, and so our pricing is based on of course the availability and the seasonality. Of course, Dubai is very seasonal market, so there is a lot of components that go into it. There are, of course, I review the pricing very often. And
you do yourself?
And I do the final together with my sales team, and I do the final I
bet that is a full-time job, doing the pricing, right?
But again, I'm supported by a great team, right? So I like I say, the proposals come to me, and then I approve what goes.
So you have employees that focus on pricing full-time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Many of them or just one?
There are several of them for the entire company. I have one dedicated to my market, but he's not specifically dedicated just to Dubai market, because we also have machine learning models that support us in this.
And how far in advance do you usually get booked? Is your summer already booked up, or is it what's
I think
that?
It's a combination
of both.
Of both.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, summer in Dubai is never easy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So how many employees does the Dubai branch have in total?
We have about 50 people working here. Not all of them are dedicated to the market, but because we have kind of a hybrid model where we also have some employees who are, let's say, based in Greece, if they're in the shared services. So it's a mix.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so I want to get into your story a little bit, how you got to where you got and all that. But first, I want to ask you, what do you think about just the Dubai market as a whole? How it's growing, where it's going? Do you think there's any problems? What do you think?
It's an interesting question. I think that what we've seen, there are several important shifts that has happened in Dubai over the last few years. Obviously, the rental price increase since 2021, I would say, it's
increased a lot since then, hasn't it?
Yes, but this is typical for Dubai, I would say, right? So Dubai is a very cyclical market, so you can see the 8 to 10 years high in the markets, and then it just goes down. Like, for example, when I moved into Dubai in 2016, it was in the high. Then it dropped around 2017, and then in 20, it started, going up. It was very fast due to some geopolitical conditions, not expected. But I would say the price increase was expected to happen in Dubai. If you take it in the context of the global world, if you take it in the context of the world, right, I think the main capitals of the world, like London, New York, are still much higher in terms of average price than Dubai. So it's still going to grow.
Yeah.
So I think this is one important trend. Another is the increase in pricing has made it an important shift in the furnished versus unfurnished apartments.
In what way?
So there were much more apartments that moved from unfurnished to the furnished market.
Okay.
Right. So I think it was about 20% shift. So now we're at 50-50. If before 70% of stock was unfurnished, now it's only 50. So this is important. Why? Because of course we are all competing, right? So there are many holiday homes operators in Dubai, and the price increase has intensified this process. If you look at the number of Airbnb listings, it's doubled to about 50,000 in Dubai in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's unprecedented,
it's
right? And that just means that competition intensifies, right? And then there is a pressure on all of the operators in the market to either decrease the prices or utilization, because you can't sustain both in the long term. So I think it's an interesting times. We'll see what is going to happen. I think that also with a lot of upcoming regulations, I think also regulators are noticing the shifts on the market, and they are trying to take more control, because I think that with so many small operators, we don't really know if they're following the whole guidelines set up already by the government. So I think they will be tightening a little bit on that to make sure that all operators have their licenses, have their permits in order. So yeah, I think that's kind of few things that we see.
Interesting. So you think the rents are going to continue to go up? I think they're going to come down.
I think they will. I think that you already can see that they are stabilizing a little bit. But I feel like also it depends by the area, right? So because Dubai is so big and it's operating kind of closed communities, so I think there's also a lot of variability within those. And then by building as well, of course, because even within the same community, you can have better, more desirable buildings, less desirable buildings.
But for your model, so since you do a lot of things, but one of your models is renting apartments from other people and, you know, making money on top by furnishing and all that. With the rents increasing so much, is there still profit for you to take these apartments on, or has the rental amount increased too much?
No, I think there is, of course. However, what we do in such cases, usually we do a much more strict asset selection, right? So we really then focus on the most profitable options.
I bet because 2 years ago you could just take anything and it would make money.
Yeah, probably, yes.
Yeah, but now you have to be a little more,
You need to be much more selective. And we also see that some of the buildings that maybe work for holiday homes and short term or for the long leases does not necessarily work for us.
Oh, okay. Okay, I gotcha. All right, so your story, I'm also fascinated with how you became the general manager of Blueground here in Dubai. So if you tell us just a little bit, where are you from, for example?
I'm originally from Belarus, but I moved out pretty early in my life. So when I was 18, I just left to study.
How old were you when you left?
18, so just after high school. I went to study in Poland. Then I also lived in Italy for about 7-8 years, where I also did my master's and just stayed because I loved the country so much.
Okay, nice.
Then I did my MBA at INSEAD.
In Italy?
So it's in France and Singapore. And this will be significant for how I get to the Blueground. Okay. And then me and my husband, we decided to move to Dubai because we saw the potential of the city and we were really interested to. So at that point, you were
just studying? You had just been studying the whole time?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so since I moved in, I was actually most of my professional career, I worked in management consulting. I worked for Boston Consulting Group, which is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world. And I worked in advising private companies and governments on how to improve their performance financially and organizationally. So,
and you did that from Dubai?
Yes, I did that both from Italy and then later from Dubai.
Okay.
Which was an amazing experience. I love this company. They're so great and allowed me to learn so much in the very short period of time.
So that job is your consulting company. So people that are growing a company and they need some help, you're a consultant.
Yeah, so we work exactly, but we usually work for bigger companies there. So again, more Fortune 500s kind of companies. Yeah, and so there I did few of the, so we work, for example, on strategy development, transformation, change management, a whole variety of topics, really.
So you talk about that you learned a lot there in a short period of time. Yeah. What did you learn from that job?
So I think consulting is great to learn a lot about different industries because you usually are allocated to a specific project for a few months and then you change.
so you're just picking up so many different things.
Exactly.
And,
very early on, you can do a lot. Of course, as you become more senior, you specialize in the certain topics that you like. But initially, you are encouraged to try out as many things as possible, both in terms of industry, but also in terms of type of projects that you can do. Let's say it can be strategy, it can be, I don't know, marketing campaign, support of sales efficiency, whatever. So many topics.
Yeah, you're probably like the fifth or sixth person I've met that used to do that job, and they're all pretty sharp, you know. So
thank you. I'll take it as a compliment.
I think that's I can tell that you probably learn a lot from that.
Yeah,
kind
you
of
need
job.
a bit of grit, right? Because you're getting a 3 months engagements where you need to learn about the industry. Of course, you have a lot of support, and your senior team is managed to help you in the process, right? But you still do a lot of analysis. You also, I think that what helps is exposure to so many different companies, so you can see easily the patterns and things.
Yeah.
Also to people, I would say that you see so many people, you manage the team, so it's also very easy to pick up, different types of characters, who needs which kind of support, right? Is it a person that, thrives on giving them more freedom, or is it a person in your team that needs a little bit more oversight in certain directions, right? So I think this is also helps you a lot because you become a manager pretty early on in your career. So I would say in 5 years, you're already managing people, right?
Yeah.
So this is quite, I would say, unique compared to other companies.
If you want an apartment in Dubai and you want to maximize the revenue you're getting, you need to run it on Airbnb and Book.com. A lot of people have asked me if I can run their Airbnb apartment for them, but I've always pushed that to the side just because it will take too much time away from my apartments. So what I've done now is I've partnered with 2 guys that have been in the industry for 10 years, and together we're going to start managing apartments for other people. Now, with them teaming up with me, I'm going to be able to truly focus on maximizing the revenue on my own subleasing apartments and the apartments that we're managing for other people. So if you want me and my team to manage your apartment and truly maximize the revenue you're getting on Airbnb and Book.com, fill out the form in the description, and either me or my team members will reach out to you. And how did you transition then from Blueground? Oh, did you go directly to Blueground?
Yeah,
that?
I did.
But you didn't have any hospitality experience. Well,
so I think, look, maybe this is not the most important part, right?
Okay.
I think, so I went to Blueground because actually, and that's why INSEAD story is important. Alex comes from INSEAD, our founder and our CEO. And a lot of people in the management team are also coming from INSEAD, right? Because
INSEAD, where's that?
It is my MBA school.
The French.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because you usually, you studied with these people, they're all very sharp. They come from a variety of backgrounds. So it's really easy also to reach out to your network if you need to find someone for your team. And so the person who used to manage Dubai before me is actually from my class. So I know him quite well. He's my friend and my classmate. So this is how he just reached out to me saying if I would be interested in position, and this is how I came on board. Okay,
so he just knew you had good management skills, and that's why he reached out to you.
Exactly.
All right, and what year was that? How long have you been doing it for Blueground?
So I've been with them about 1.5 years now.
Okay.
But I need to say that I love real estate, right? Yeah. So I might not have formal, experience, but we have a few apartments with my husband that we rent out. Some short-term, some long-term. So I know a little bit of background, and I always loved real estate. I mean, who doesn't in Dubai?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. We're all interested in it.
And how was the process then 1.5 years ago when you were just put into this company? You were just the boss. How did that work?
Look, I think it was really interesting because I found the challenges in a different places that I would expect them to be, right? I think I was very lucky because I have a very strong team to support me. It was already well-established operations, so it was also relatively easy to hand over.
Okay.
So most of my team leaders who manage different parts of the operations, like operations, sales, real estate, have been already with the company for several years. They know very well what they're doing. So they supported a lot in my transition, right? So I could focus on specific things and have some time to learn. Who used to manage Blueground before me, still within the company, right? He's just occupying as a position. So I also
What position did he go to?
So he is a Chief Business Operations Officer, right? So he oversees the mature markets, right? Like Dubai, Istanbul, and all of the.
Oh,
he's basically my boss now.
So he went to the next level and
Exactly.
manages all the markets.
Exactly,
kinda,
right?
yeah.
So he has more of an oversight. He looks more at the strategic elements of the company, where we want to move, how we want to develop with the markets, which new markets we want to operate in. So this is kind of what he does now. And so I also had a lot of senior support, right? Admin support. We have a process on which we assign someone else, not your direct boss, but someone else to be kind of your buddy, your partner, to whom you can, bounce on ideas. And in addition, I need to say that Blueground has a very unique culture, which is on one side very, very startup-y, right? So we still have this startup spirit, even though we are very big. And
you still feel like a startup?
Exactly. I mean, you can reach out to anyone. I mean, even if you're a technician, you can message Alex and he'll respond to you, right?
Really?
So there is a lot of connection and really a lot of support within the company, so that I felt pretty easy in this transition. Don't get me wrong. It still was challenging. There is a lot of things to learn, but I felt very supported.
Yeah, I bet. That's important. So how do you, with so many, people managing big roles, what do you think is important to keep these people motivated? Like to feel a part of the company?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean?
I think the mission of the company is important, right? So what are you trying to achieve, right? And then, of course, how successful you are. I think this is one big part. So it needs to be a meaningful job that you are doing. I think the second part, again, and I'll bring here the culture and I'll explain what I mean. Culture is very important, right? So how do you include people in what you do, right? So, for example, one of the key things that I do is I always include my team in my decisions, right? So at least to consult and understand what's their opinion. I might not always choose what they want to do. I might go a different way, but I think I consult them and I also then explain why my decision was made in a certain way, right? So I think when the people feel included in what they do, when they have a meaning in what they do, then I think they're motivated.
Do you think that is more important than having a high salary or part of the company?
Important. Salary is also part of the, always part of the deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, no need to bring, this one here because everyone knows that it's important.
Yeah, I gotcha. So what does a typical day look like for you? You go to the office, what do you focus on? What's your focus?
Yeah. I want to say that I don't have a typical day in Dubai, but I try. Yeah. I would say I have two kind of parts of my time that I split. I think one, and I usually do it in the mornings when it's fresher, I focus on strategic initiatives and kind of bigger decisions of where we want to move with the company, right? So where do we grow? What do we launch? How do we develop further, right? So which changes do we need to make, right? So for example, now we're working on a few things globally, but also locally. One is franchising, right? So we are actually started to grow through the partners, not necessarily Blueground, like starting our operations from zero. You probably have seen on the news, we have opened several markets now, for example, Tokyo, Bangkok, and Cairo, where we take on a local partner, and then we develop together in the franchise model, Blueground. And the second part, which is also quite interesting, is called partner network, right? So where we partner with local operators who are also in our kind of business, like holiday home.
Yeah, like Silk House or something like that.
Yeah, and we list their properties on our portal. So we select, we vet them, we align, and then
you just take a small percentage of that.
So right now, for example, I'm talking with several operators here in Dubai market to understand their interest, and then
you're almost just becoming a competitor to Airbnb because you're just listing apartments for other people. I guess you still have to service the guests, right? You're still servicing.
So this goes to the partner, right? Because that's their booking, that's their apartment. We don't manage it.
They're just getting access to your network.
I think there is a complementarity there, right? We have a very specific selection of the properties, right? But we have wider and wider network of the people. So we notice sometimes we could not satisfy the request, or maybe we don't grow fast enough to satisfy all of the requests. And here the idea of the partner network came in, where we can easily create a complementary portfolio, or also offer more units. I mean, for them, it's just additional channel to where to list their apartments.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so this is kind of part of my day, right? Where I
Yeah.
look into strategic things and see, or for example, within our operations, what can be optimized further? What else we can do, right? So do we need additional partners to support our guests, like, I don't know, a wellness app or something else?
What is something that you optimized recently?
Warehousing costs.
Warehousing costs? So what are you storing there in the warehouses?
Furniture, right? So
Oh.
because we furnish with our furniture, most of our apartments.
Okay.
So we were looking how we can optimize and spend less money there. Now we're also working on a new operational model in terms of how we are doing our exit inspections and cleanings. So we just piloted it and we'll be rolling out over the next months. So these are kind of the strategic elements that I'm looking on usually in the mornings.
Gotcha.
And then in the afternoons, I usually take the meetings with my team leaders. You know, I align with each and every one of them because they're also working on many things. Like, I don't know, with my real estate team, I align on the asset selection, with operations on, you know, how is it going? Do we need to improve? How our, you know, suppliers and vendors doing? And take any other ad hoc kind of requests that do come in.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of things that come in for sure.
Yes.
So furniture, like obviously when you're do the rent-to-rent model, you have to pay for the furniture. What about when you do the management for owners? Do they buy the furniture or do you pay for the furniture?
So we actually offer, even if you take an furnished, we offering to buy the furniture or lease from us to our landlords. We have a specific incentive for them. It's called Furniture Pack, so they can invest in the furniture that will be in their apartment, and then we'll pay for them a percentage on top in the end of each year that they kept this money with us. And then in the end of our contract, they can keep the furniture or decide to take their money back.
You know, I think I saw your brochure like 10 months ago when I just got to Dubai, when the company I was working for had I moved to Dubai with a job with a holiday home company, and they had your brochure up on the screen, and we were like analyzing it. And what you mentioned there was on that brochure, like advertising that incentive structure for the owner. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I think that we try as much as we can to put our furniture because it's easier to manage, right? Then we also, you know, when you have a big portfolio, you don't want to go and figure out is this is my furniture, not my furniture, and also then you need we want to be you know, speedy, right? To make sure that we offer the best service to our clients.
Exactly.
And it takes some time to, you know, get an approvals from the landlords. They may be feeling attached to their furniture or things like that.
True.
So
if you throw something away and they're like pissed off that you
exactly. And I mean,
threw away their
grandma's
couch.
I mean, we like our landlords, right? So we want to have a good partnership, but of course we also need to make sure that we deliver the service fast, which does not always, you know, align with the landlord's timeline, and we try to be respectful of both. But we do take some, you know, some furnished apartments as well, because the other part there is we have a certain style that we like to maintain, right? So we also need to make sure that whatever we take on is also be recognized as a Blueground apartment.
Yeah.
Because if you look on our website, you see that they're very, very similar and they have very distinct.
How much do you spend? How much does it cost you to furnish a single apartment, like a 2-bedroom apartment?
2-bedroom, I think that the furniture pack that we are offering is somewhere between 55,000.
Yeah. You kind of need to spend at least that to like have quality furniture.
Yeah. So because exactly, you want to strike a right balance between to offer quality and a beautiful. Also, I mean, people like beautiful apartments, right? So you want to be able to, especially in such a competitive market as Dubai, you want it to look nice.
Yeah.
You also want it to be durable, right? Because if you don't invest in good furniture,
that's true.
Then it's also very fast that you'll need to substitute it, and this is additional cost, right?
Exactly.
So I think you need to strike a good balance there. But then also it's a big cash flow element. It's a huge cash expense, and the bigger operations get, the bigger this expense gets. So you also want to make sure that, and you need to pay it up front, right, before the guests move in. So you want to make sure that it's also optimized for that.
I got you. So, all right. So what are your goals with the company? Do you have anything goals, or do you just want to try to get better every day?
Yeah, I do have some goals, of course. You haven't noticed that I'm a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think so far I have a few things that we would like to do in Dubai and roll out in terms of our initiatives and how we grow.
Yeah.
Some is gonna come soon. I'm still in the process of making. Just keep watching and you'll see what we do. I think there are a few things that we have there that we want to reach in terms of our growth and financial objectives. And I think the next nice transition would be also to oversee few markets, right? Especially if we launch something more and we get more partners here in the region. I would like to move somewhere towards a regional general manager position. That would be a nice transition.
Oh yeah. That would be a nice transition. Yeah. So the regional is like the guy that you replaced. That's his position.
Yeah, he's a little higher than the regional.
Similar. Okay, I got you. So let's go a little bit into the history of Blueground.
Yeah.
So you told me Alex is the CEO. He started the company from Greece, right?
Yes.
And how did he start? Was he just doing, what I'm doing right now? Did he just rent an apartment and put it on Airbnb, or what did he do?
Yeah, kind of like that. I think that the history also evolved because I think his idea was initially, as he was from consulting background, his idea was to offer this flexible kind of stay of 30 days plus. To the companies, right? So the idea was to target it specifically to the companies.
So right away, that was the
idea. That was kind of the pitch. Then of course it's evolved because he thought, okay, maybe through the companies it's not that easy because they don't know who this Alex is with 3 apartments, right? Necessarily. So then it's evolved to also to offering it to consumers. But pretty much this is how it started.
Yeah, that's crazy. And do you know how many apartments he had before he moved to a different location?
No, I don't know.
What was the first city they opened?
Athens.
Athens?
So this is the home cities of
But what was the
Alex.
next step?
Then there was Istanbul and Dubai. I also do not know the exact sequence, but it was pretty early on. So the company was funded in 2014. And I think Dubai was started in 2016.
16. Yeah, okay. That's a fast transition over to Dubai. Yeah. And, like we talked about earlier, it's crazy how you can manage 15,000 apartments from all over the world.
Yeah.
How do you talked a little bit about the system. So obviously he has, a head in each location. Can you tell me a little bit about, the structure of how all these units are managed from the top? Like how Alex put that system together and what it looks like?
I think it was an evolution, but I think that, again, technology played a big role there, right? I think Alex and, again, together the management team, right? Because there was a few people who started the company. They recognize that technology is going to be a major piece of it, right? And especially if you want to scale, you need to have your own technology because you can't expect that an external company or a third party is just going to adjust to what you want to do, right? So that's why very early on we started developing our own technology to make sure that the things are optimized, right? And now whenever we see the need and the business need, we do it internally, right? So everything that we do technologically wise is 100% fine-tuned to our operations, to what we need.
That's crazy.
So I think this is a big part. And then I think another part that you need to strike, again, as we said, is operations, right? So I would say that we are still trying to find, depending on the department, the part of centralization or decentralization that each of the markets has and each of the functions has. But I think there are several things that are for sure city specific, right? So, and that are in the control of a city manager, right? So I think that this is another part that's important. Each and every one of us general managers in Blueground is like a small entrepreneur, right? I am in charge of my market and I can initiate any change that I want, right? Of course, within the boundaries, and there are certain things that I need to respect to get approvals, right? But I'm the one who is in charge, and I'm the one who also is the first in line to say, look, this doesn't work for me, right? We need to adjust because doesn't make my business. And then, of course, we also have at the central level several teams that support us in, like, for example, we have an operations excellence team, right, which is several people who at the central level look at how we operate and see, okay, maybe we need to adjust something. Maybe there are similarities within the market. This market tried this and we need to roll out it globally, right? So there is also several central teams like that support us in our daily operations. Similarly to pricing, it's also a central team, right? So that we can make sure that we have an algorithm which also optimizes it across the markets, but also then, is adapted to each of the market needs.
So I think that's the beauty of it. What you touched on is that he gives each general manager like yourself just the freedom to make all the decisions. So when you add, a bunch of unit, you don't have to get his approval, do you? Or,
no. I'm the ultimate approver in the market.
So I think.
But then it's also I'm responsible to make sure that whatever I select is in line with our goals, right? And then also it contributes to my market. Like I cannot just go and select a unit in Abu Dhabi because I think I like it, right? So
okay.
but again, yes, I don't have to go and check every single decision that I make with my superiors, right? Because in the end, I have my targets and I'm also, financially motivated to reach them, right? I mean, this is, this is a company that I'm building as well.
Yeah. I bet that's a very difficult thing for an owner of a company to do, is to let go of the control of all these markets, especially like the first market he set up in after Greece. So how do you think he spends most of his time? What is he looking at the numbers for every market, or what do you think?
I think I'll answer first on the control part, right? I think this is both for him, but this is true for every manager.
Yeah.
When you go to a manager position, how do you give the control to the people? I think the best part that you can do is hire the people who are smarter than you and better than you, right?
Yeah.
That you trust. Because if you don't trust and you need to go to control every single step of them, there is no need for you to hire this person. You just do their job, right? And don't get an extra salary. But if you want to grow, there is no other way, because you can't do everything at the same time. Because there is only as many hours in a day that you can spend, right?
True.
And then also the people who you control 100% every single minute of their days, they don't want to work for you. They will not be motivated also to take risks and improve, right? Because they have no ownership of what they do.
Yeah.
And so I think this is very important for every manager and every leader and every company owner, right? Who don't want to run one-man show, right? So it's about selecting people, working with the people that you like and trust, and then growing like this. And how the Alex they look like, it's a good question. Like I think he looks at the numbers, but I think he looks at the big picture, right? So is the company going? Because we also have our investors, we have our funding rounds. We also have goals as a company at a high level. So I think that he looks there, but then of course, if he needs to deep dive, we go deeper and he understands, okay, why is this number like this? Why are we not reaching our objectives? And he's also very hands-on sometimes, right? So we have our management meetings. We also, we recently came back from our general managers for Europe and Middle East and APAC meeting in Greece, where also we sit down for several day workshop and we discuss how we can improve, what are the most important topics. So he's, and then also because he built up the company, he knows everything in the detail, right? He be the general manager, right? So he also knows. And
do you sometimes all of the heads from each country meet together?
Yeah, we have actually our monthly calls.
Oh, the monthly calls.
Yeah, and we usually discuss different topics. We usually each call we feature a different topic, and then we discuss, whatever is on our agenda item.
If you want to open a company in Dubai, it's very important to have the right service to help you with the entire setup. When I moved to Dubai, I used a very reputable service, one of the biggest services in Dubai, to help me with the setup, and it was a disaster. They sent me to all these office inspections to the wrong locations, and they told me to lie to these inspectors, and it was just a disaster. It was so embarrassing. And then once the entire setup was done, it was no possible way to get a hold of him. Like I had a bunch of follow-up questions that I wanted to get clear and some add-ons that I wanted to do, but I couldn't get a hold of him. So it was a disaster. So what I have done is now I found this guy now that I'm working with if I need any like legal or company advice and setup. And I'm sending all my friends to this guy. So if you want a proper service to help you set up your company or answer your questions about what kind of companies to set up in Dubai, reach out to this guy. You can fill out the form in the description and he will reach out to you. First I want to say like that topic of like delegation and trusting other people to, you know, be responsible. That's so like in my head right now because I'm at the point, like I have 30 apartments in Iceland. I have like 20 apartments now in Dubai. And I'm at the point where I have to start trusting people to make decisions because otherwise I can't get to 100 apartments, you know? So it's like, I think about that so much.
So I think delegation and processes, right?
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you have a processes and structure in place that people can follow.
Maybe you can look at my systems and give me some tips.
Maybe.
All right, so let's transition a little bit more into like strategy and how you operate in Dubai. So when it comes to owners of apartments, why should owners let you manage their apartments versus just renting it out long term?
I think we offer several advantages to the landlord. I think first of all, we as a company are a very reliable partner, right? And I think we've proved it ourselves both here in Dubai and in other markets, right? So we've been operating in Dubai since 2016. We know what we are doing and we are a really great partner, right? So for example, in terms of comparing to a tenant, which you also can have in a variety of scale, we'll always take care of your apartment because it's in our best interest because we are offering it to the guest. We pay on time as a company, right? Sense. And we are there also for the long term with the landlords, right? So we are not interested to furnish a property and make it ready for a year. We are interested also in a long-term partnership with our landlords. On the other side, I think what we offer is a lot, right? Even compared to some of the other operators on the market. We offer increased occupancy and better cash flows, right? Because we've been doing it for a while and we can also capitalize on the network effect of the entire company and the businesses that stay with us. We also offer fewer guests, right? So if you think about an average 3-month stay, it's a 4 guests in a year versus 6-8 that can stay in a month in a normal holiday homes, right? So it's again taking care of your property. And then we also take, let's say, we manage your apartment without an additional management fee, right? So we'll organize the maintenance, we'll organize the cleaning, and it's in a way on us, right? Because this is the partnership that we form.
Okay. So what kind of apartments do you take on? If an owner wants you to manage their apartment, do you take any apartment in Dubai, like luxury apartments in downtown and studio in JVC? Do you take both of them?
Not necessarily, right? So we have our core neighborhoods where we know that it works for us, and this is where we focus, right? So we usually have in our portfolio studios, 1 beds and 2 beds. It's a majority of our stock. We have some 3 beds, but not many. And then we operate in the core neighborhoods. We have few apartments in JVC, but not many so far. Okay, so
it doesn't matter for you if an owner approaches you and say, "Hey, I want you to take my apartment." Does it matter to you if you just give him a fixed rent, or if it's revenue share, or does the owner just decide what he prefers?
I think it's a common discussion. It's a negotiation. It depends on the type of unit and the neighborhood, right? So there are some neighborhoods which we do only revenue share, and there are others where we're sure and we're gonna take a fixed rent. So it's a bit of a combination of what we want to do and what landlords wants to do.
I guess because in like blue waters, where the long-term rent is super high, then it's hard for you to, do the rent-to-rent model. Then you're maybe more inclined to do revenue share.
Yes, indeed. But we also have seen that the particularly super luxury towers and apartments don't really work so well for the midterm and even short-term rentals.
I guess.
It's just too expensive. It doesn't make sense also for the guests to do that. Also, there is little market from the guest perspective for that. So.
I got you. Since most of your clientele is like business related and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I don't even know, even for the tourist operation wise, like how would that work?
Yeah.
Like it would probably have relatively low occupancy and wouldn't even cover the even in the revenue share. Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's my impression. Also seeing, how market has evolved and seeing few operators who have tried it. I don't see them doing luxury apartments anymore, like penthouses or things like that.
Very few. If you even go on Airbnb, there's very few super high-end units. And if they are there, they don't have a lot of reviews. So
that's because it doesn't work, right? So if this is what you want to do, you just go to Atlantis Royal, right? And you rent a penthouse there.
And these super high-end, the people that are managing these super high-end units, they tell me that most of their clients come from like personal network, not really from Airbnb and stuff like that.
That does make sense as well.
Yeah. All right. I think I have asked you everything I wanna talk about. Anything you want to leave with the people or?
No, I mean, thank you. It was really fun talking about that. I think it's also gave me some time to reflect a little bit on my journey over this year
Awesome.
and a half and about Dubai.
Yeah.
Again, let's stay in contact. If you have, other questions, so you want a tip or join Blueground at some point.
I'll sell you my portfolio.
Why not?
Awesome.
You're already in rent to rent.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
you. All right.